Okay, not really knowing what is about to come.
Yo guys,
But
what is
that's
going
the
on?
fun of it,
JPS
right?
back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to German homes, how the Germans live. This should be a really interesting video because we haven't watched too much about what German homes are like, what German neighborhoods are like, things of that nature. So I'm hoping this is going to be a learning video and we're going to learn a lot in it.
Me too.
Thank you all so much for your support on yesterday's video with your advice on places to visit, your own personal anecdotes, and just taking my best interest into account. So thank you all so much for
Well, to be true, I have my best interests on first place, but you are welcome as well.
that. And if you haven't watched that video, make sure you check it out, as we do have an impending trip to Germany, hopefully this summer.
Oh,
But yeah, guys, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and let's get right into this.
that would be
Did
fun
you know
for
that
you.
in German addresses, the street name comes first and then the number? And the
Yep, that's true. First name, second name, street, number, postal zip code, city. That's true.
postcode or zip code comes before the city. And check out the doorbells, no number.
And what you Americans have, if you say Boston, people say Boston, Massachusetts. We don't have that here because Germany is about the size, a little smaller than, I think, Texas. Just there's no need to tell the state they live in. The city is in.
And the
That's different.
postcode or zip code comes before the city. And check out the doorbells, no numbers. Instead, they're labelled with the surnames of the people living
Yep.
there, which
What?
strikes me as slightly unusual for this privacy-loving nation.
That is true. That is true. We like privacy, but just by habit, there is a name on the shield. It's completely normal, because the number would not be part of the address, so the postman wouldn't find the right slot to. You see, English is not my native language. You hear it, not you see. You hear it. Monitor, camera, control monitor. That's why I'm looking around desperately.
Anyway, for today's episode, we're at home with the Germans. German homes come in all shapes and sizes. They also have pretty logical names. A house at the end of a row of houses is called an end of the row house, or ein Endhaus. A house where one family lives is called a one-family house,
Yep.
Einfamilienhaus. Large houses split up into several apartments are called Mehrfamilien.
And have a look to the German word. We don't put word. We just shove it together to make one long word. Only us Germans understand. Isn't that smart?
Häuser or multi-family houses, and that's the most common type of home here. As I've told you before, Germans usually know the exact measurements of their home in square meters. The average German home is a little over 90 square meters for 2 people. 5 million Germans live in a WG or Wohngemeinschaft, that's shared accommodation, and only 0.5% of households have 3 or more generations living under one roof.
Wow.
Cold rent means without bills, and warm rent includes costs for certain utilities and services.
Yep, absolutely. Warmmiete und Kaltmiete. I don't pay rent. This is mine. Not sure if I should be proud of that, but it's mine.
Germany has long been a nation of renters.
Watch the window. Look at it. It's one of the German windows. Ah! We can open it.
Less than half the population owns their own home, and in some larger cities that drops to a quarter. This is in part a hangover from recent history. During the war, a lot of private property was destroyed, so rental apartment blocks were built as a quick fix. In East Germany, people rarely had the option of purchasing their own property, and state-owned property was heavily subsidized. These days,
We call those things Wohnbunker, which might be translated as living bunker, because they looked like bunkers, like a big block.
some people prefer the flexibility of renting. Germans do, after all, move an average of 6 times in their life, but most people cite spiralling house prices and hefty deposits as the main hurdle to owning their own home. That being said, renting isn't always a particularly cheap alternative.
That might result from the fact that German homes normally are made of stone. They can survive a hurricane, while American homes are made of cardboard and fly away every time some wind is coming up. That's why they're so expensive. Just kidding.
In
But it's
Munich,
fun.
renters are shelling out around 17 euros per square metre. Berlin has introduced a controversial 5-year rent freeze to try and get its prices under control. And some people are getting creative.
Limit the rent for housing and no houses is built anymore because it doesn't pay off. Was a
Banning
bright
traditional
idea.
living models in favour of houseboats, campervans, communal living projects or tiny houses.
Ein Tiny House ist ein kleines Häuschen, meistens aus Holz gebaut, zwischen 10 und 20 Quadratmeter auf
What?
Rädern, auf einem
But it's very expensive. It's just a hobby for yuppies, for people with money or very masochistic. We pretend living in that thing. You must be sort of special.
Pkw-Anhänger, ist aber auch eine Bewegung. Ja, ist eine Bewegung, die vor ungefähr 15 Jahren in Kalifornien in den
Ja. California, that fits.
USA eingesetzt hat.
Und wie ist es dann nach Deutschland gekommen?
Of course, California, bro. Of course. I shouldn't have even. That is a cool idea. I just don't think that would be for me. But I'm sure a lot of people have said that and have ended up getting the tiny house. So you can't rule something out until you try it, I guess. But it does seem a bit daunting to live in such a small space. I mean, look at this.
Kleines Häuschen, meistens aus Holz gebaut, zwischen
Like,
Why don't they live in a garden shed instead? It's almost the same, just with more comfort and cheaper.
that is crazy.
Yep.
Damn. The history does make sense, but it's still just so surprising to hear, like, how high the proportion of renters are in Germany. It's just still shocking to hear that there's a lack of homeowners. But I mean, it makes sense. It's not like I'm confused as to why that is. It's just, wow, it's a lot of renters.
gesetzt hat.
Und wie ist es dann nach Deutschland gekommen?
In Deutschland gab es ja schon immer durch diese Kleingärten eine Tiny House Affinität.
Kleingärten, auch Schrebergarten genannt. This is a piece of land not attached to your house but somewhere else in the same city normally, where you have just a piece of land to grow vegetables whatsoever. And sometime people started to set up a shed and a bigger shed, and then they started living in it. Officially, it's not allowed to use that thing for living, and so it's more like you would call it a recreational home or something like this, where you spend your weekends or so.
Deutsche und auch Holländer, die ja sehr viel Camping machen und Caravaning, die haben eine hohe Sympathie für kleine Räume.
Welche Vorteile bietet ein Tiny House?
Wenn wir
Nein.
nicht mehr so viel Platz beanspruchen, können wir nicht mehr so viel kaufen. Wenn alle Menschen auf einmal in Holzgebäude
Did I say something about Luftschloss? Air castle? If they would, they won't.
leben würden, hätten wir nicht so eine CO2-Katastrophen. Und wenn wir nicht mehr
He has to sell these mini homes, so
in anonymen Hochhäusern leben wollen, sondern eher in kleineren Strukturen, dann ist das soziale Miteinander auch
Ja.
ein anderes.
that's what you call a trailer park.
Anyway, back to the status quo for now. Here are my personal picks for a few things that make a home very German. House shoes,
Yep.
bottled water, sparkling of course, weird
Yep.
little mini forks for cake. If the cakes
Yep.
aren't mini, then why are the forks? Solid roller blinds that block out every last scrap of light.
When I moved into this house, it had roller blinds. Unfortunately, they've been so old that they're crumbling apart. They were made of plastic. Now I have, oh God, how do you call that? Projection screens coming down electrically by a push of a remote control button, just to keep the sun out.
One of these retro-looking wooden measuring sticks. A cellar with caged-off storage spaces. A beloved balcony. That's the most sought-after home feature. 2 duvets, very practical. And unwieldy, squashy, frankly ridiculous square pillows.
That's true. I never could use these pillows because if you put your head on it, it sucks. No, it sucks. It sinks away, and I wake up like that. And so I have a folded woolen blanket under that, and above that a stiff, hard cushion for the head. I need that. But the other thing with a thick, fluffy Blankets, that's true, I have one.
Newcomers often have a few surprises when they move into their first place in Germany. First of all, don't expect a house or flat to be furnished, even if you're renting. And the biggest shock of all might come when you enter the kitchen. Yep, it's totally normal to take your entire kitchen with you when you move. Counters, cooker, sink, everything.
Yep.
One good thing about moving here is that it's a team effort. It's absolutely the done thing to enlist the help of all your friends. The only payment required is beer, pizza, and the knowledge that you'll return the favour. Of course, it wouldn't be Germany without a good set of rules. The small print in...
The moving out the kitchen, is that really, is that practical?
Depends, yes. The kitchen not necessarily means the whole kitchen, but only the expensive things, dishwasher, oven, microwave, fridge. They might have been expensive and they don't want to leave it behind. A kitchen can cost several thousands euro, and so sometimes it's better to take it with you.
I don't know. I feel like
How many times have you moved?
the places should just have the kitchen as part of the rent, right? So it just stays and then...
It depends. If there is a kitchen and it's part of a rent, you're lucky. If not...
Most places, most apartments have kitchens built into them, so then no one has to worry about taking them out. Let me know about that, guys, because it seems like a big pain to have to take out all those, the dishwasher, the countertops, the refrigerator, the sink,
Yep.
all of that. I mean, I guess you could do that. It just seems like a... Yeah.
Nice German word. Besenrein means something like broom clean. It means has to be, when you move out afterwards, it has to be so clean how you can get it with a broom. So you don't necessarily have to paint the whole thing new, but it has to be in a state that it can be let to the next one. And that sometimes requires to remove all your furniture.
I guess.
Depending on your furniture.
Damn. That's a lot of work, though.
knowledge that you'll return the favour. Of course, it wouldn't be Germany without a good set of rules. The small print in a rental
That's for
contract
sure.
can include such
Ferengi rules of acquisition, number 38 or so. Small print leads to large risk.
gems as the exact level of noise you're allowed to make, how often you have to air your flat out, and the requirement to repaint every room a neutral colour upon your departure.
That has been changed, because if somebody new moves in, very often they repaint the thing anyway in their color. So by law, it's no longer required. Often in the contracts it says have to be repainted, but the law says no, you don't have to.
If you've noticed anything else about the German way of living,
That's a repaint. What?
leave me a comment below. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, the thought behind that is if you rent a flat and you leave, it has to, after you left, it has to be the same condition as it was when you entered. There, this idea of repainting came. If you have lived there for 10 years, then the colors might have changed, especially if you are a smoker. Yep,
The amount of noise you're allowed to make. So I want to...
It's not like numbers, decibel or something like that. But indeed, we have a rule that after 10 p.m., if you are too loud, the police will come and stop you. And, well, if many people live very close, on a close space, and some of them have to sleep to get up in the morning, then it's, since you don't have always great neighbors that are quiet all by themselves, so there has to be rules. If they are enforced, depends on your neighbors. Where is, we can say, wo kein Kläger ist kein Richter. Where is no prosecutioner, there is no judge. So if nobody complains, nobody cares.
Germany has some crazy rules. Just like, what is that? How is that going to be?
America, there's much better with rules.
Enforced? If you're making too much noise, what happens?
If someone calls the police, they show up and say, be quieter. We are nice guys. Be quieter. If we will back, we remove your stereo equipment. And you can take it from the police tomorrow. Might happen.
Like what? Someone will come over and knock on the door. Is it like a communal thing and people are like, oh, that's too much noise. The neighbors will get mad at you, or what is that about? And what is too much noise? How is that measured? Would it be a singular sound of like you dropping a pot? Or would it be, like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
party! 4 people drinking all night, listening to loud music. This will be trouble.
I don't know. That seems a bit ludicrous compared to what I'm used to. And that wasn't the first time I've heard of something like that. I remember we were reacting to like German laws, and one of them was you can't play certain instruments at certain hours or for more than certain hours.
Don't regard that like a fixed set of rules. Violin from then to then, bagpipe from then to then also. It's just like if nobody complains, then there's no problem. If somebody complains, then the police have to decide it's okay, it's too loud, buddies. No. And sometimes, yes, it goes to court. And really there are court words are missing. Not native English speaker, sorry. You know what I mean anyway.
Each day. And I have mixed feelings on that. Like, is it really that loud? Like, especially if you have your own house?
Well, if you have your own house, then there won't be any problems. But if you live in one of these bunkers, living bunkers, residing bunkers, there are lots of condos, and you have some antisocial people in your neighborhood, you love this kind of law.
I don't know. It's just a lot different than the stuff I'm used to, like noise rules and things like that. It's usually just try and be as...
Maybe it's because in Germany we have some 83 million people in a country that is about the size, smaller I think, than Texas. So people live more together, closer, and so they have more chance of getting on each other's nerves. I'm not sure that is correct English, but I think you get the point.
You know, nice as possible to others and don't be too loud. But it's never like written into the contract like that. And repainting the walls and wow, it's definitely some.
It's written.
Repainting the walls too. That would be crazy.
And here in Germany,
for us,
it's completely
like
normal.
Anything past normal wear and tear has to be paid for by the tenants. But I don't think I've ever heard of anyone having to repaint their walls when they leave. I don't know. Again,
maybe because the Americans change their houses very much more often than Germans do. I just heard about 6 times in lifetime Germans changed house, so they live 10, 15 years in a flat.
I haven't rented too much. Currently rent right now, but I haven't rented much outside of this, so I can't give like a full United States renter's perspective, but definitely a bit different. So let me know if you guys are...
It's white from the backside. It's white here on the backside.
Currently living in apartments, or you have in the past, what has your experience been like in Germany? Do you think they make it nice for renters, or do you think it's a pain and too many rules? Let me know in the comments. And the noise thing would be nice, I guess, now that I think about it, because you don't have to worry about others making noise, but it just seems like a lot of rules to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, just something I'm not used to, but that
Germany.
doesn't mean it's wrong. Anyways, guys, have a good one. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Me too.
Peace.
And my like button. Yes, it's true. I'm sure I wanted to say something very important and wise, but it's all gone. So I am the man who has to shut down his camera all by himself. Bye.